There's some preliminary announcements I want to make. Thank you, everybody, for joining us with all this horrible weather. First, I just want to thank Karen Johnson for doing these minutes. It's hellish work. I've done it, and it's rough. I want to thank her anyway. I know she's has to use a different internet provider or a different place. She's in a different location for taking the minutes, and it's not as strong. So she'll let us know if she has any problems. And Karen, you just let us know if you have any problem hearing us or getting information from any of us. So please cooperate with her. And I thank you, Karen, for your help. All right. Now, second, I'm announcing that we're not, and I underline not, going to have any discussion tonight on 130 St. Felix. I will make these announcements about it, however. First, District Manager Rob Paris has sent two committee members. Every committee member should have received a little memo regarding 130 St. Felix. He's enclosed with the memo a copy of the forwarding memo that's been sent by the board office to the Landmark Preservation Commission. It should be known that the Brooklyn Music School did return to Landmarks Preservation Commission, and we did receive they did present a new revised proposal, and that proposal was accepted. Rob Paris has indicated in his memo from the district manager that there will be a ULURP located or set sometime in the first quarter of 2021 next year from 130 St. So it's on the track, so to speak, or preparing to come down the track. That's all I'm going to discuss on 130 St. Felix. I will entertain any discussion on 130 St. Felix at this meeting. We have a long meeting, and I really want to get to the things that we have to do.
Well, you can get to the meeting just fine. I will share with you at this particular juncture that you will never tell me what I can and cannot talk about. I want to make that perfectly clear to you. If you are not aware, Mr. Gordon, when I was asked to join this community board by the then council member turned public advocate turned current state attorney general, I said to her, I will not be muzzled. Here I am 20 some odd years later. I am not going to be muzzled. So you just gave a report on what you thought the story should be, and that's not the story. But I will honor your request for right now. Proceed with your meeting.
Thank you.
I second that.
Now, the third thing I want to do is to begin with, just to sort of go over what we're going to be doing, because we have a lot of stuff we have to do. We have hearings and we have other items as well. So we want to concentrate on that. We'll be starting with the hearing, with the ULURP hearing on 86 Fleet. We'll proceed after that hearing is concluded with the BSA application hearing for for Emerson Place. At the end of that hearing, we'll then proceed with the actual meeting. The meeting will then start with the committee's consideration of Emerson Place. We'll move on to the committee's consideration of Fleet Place, and then we'll move over to the Landmark Preservation Commission application for Dean Street, and then we'll take the other matters, housekeeping matters, towards the act. So that's what we'll be doing at this time. All right, Karen, are you ready for, you can wave or say hello. Okay, Karen, you're ready. Thank you. Okay, so I have 6:12 p.m. and we'll start with the hearing on the ULURP
Hi, my name is Rachel Scull. I'm the presenter. Could I share my screen?
By all means, I guess whoever was
Here it
please.
goes. Oh, sorry, 1 second. All right. Oops. I'm just trying to make it. Okay, well, it's not going to let me make it full screen, but I think everyone should be able to see this. I apologize. My name is Rachel Scull. I'm an associate at Greenberg Traurig. We represent Red Apple 86 Fleet Place Development LLC in this text amendment application to amend section 10111 and map 2 in the special downtown Brooklyn district regulations. I'm joined today by Robert Zorin on behalf of Red Apple. Red Apple owns 86 Fleet Place at the southwest corner of the intersection of Myrtle Avenue and Fleet Place in a C64 zoning district in the special downtown Brooklyn district. Here's a little bit better view of the location of the property right here. The property is improved with a 32-story building that was constructed in 2017. It is approximately 350 feet tall. It contains 440 dwelling units and about 143 parking spaces. We're here today to talk to you about the building's ground floor. The ground floor is located on a portion of Myrtle Avenue that is subject to the special district's retail continuity requirements, which require that the 50 feet of space, the ground floor space within 50 feet of Myrtle Avenue be used for specified specified commercial uses, and a couple of community facility uses are also specified in the text. The building contains approximately 10,000 square feet of ground floor space that has been reserved for these uses, which are primarily retail uses. Unfortunately, that space has been vacant since the applicant began marketing the space in 2016.
I'll just point out that that's the old daycare center, for some people might know, or trying to picture it. It's a small little daycare center, 1 story high, and that's been, as you said, no longer in use. I just want to point that out.
Thank you. The applicant has been marketing the ground floor space in this building since 2016 for up to 4 tenants, and it's never been filled, as I stated. They've worked with 2 brokers. They've advertised the space on all major listing services. They've spoken to other area retail brokers and potential tenants. They've conducted property tours. They've hosted broker events, posted signage. advertising this space. They've sent emails, and they've even worked with the Myrtle Avenue bid to try to find a local tenant. Unfortunately, as you can see, the space is still empty. Within the past year or so, however, my client has been approached by several community facility tenants, daycare and medical facilities particularly, who are interested in leasing the space. And this application would allow them to do that. If this application sounds familiar to anybody, that's because a couple of years ago, we were here to accomplish the same thing for the block east of this site. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it makes this a little bit easier to see. What we're looking to do is, right now, there's this non-residential requirement that you see here that extends on the block east of the site. That was the 2018 application we came to you for. We're looking to extend that requirement to the site, as you see here. And it would allow all uses permitted by the underlying zoning district, except residential uses on the ground floor of this building. Like the buildings to the east, this building does not front on Flatbush Avenue, and it's located across Myrtle Avenue for Ingersoll houses, lending the area a more residential character than many other parts of downtown Brooklyn, and producing a bit less foot traffic than you see in the heart of downtown Brooklyn. That's why we think this property would be suitable for a tenant such as a community facility use that would benefit local residents. And so this is the amendment to the map that's at the back of the zoning resolution section. And then the text itself would just reflect that map by changing the non-residential strip there. Instead of it terminating at Fleet Place, it would go to the continuation of Prince Street. So I'll leave this up, and I'm happy to take any questions.
My understanding is that its ultimate goal is to build a mid-rise, I guess, 13, 15-story building, which would be used as a office spaces for community groups, nonprofit groups, smaller businesses, I guess.
I'm sorry, we're not actually building anything. There's an existing building here from 2017. I think you might be referring to the building around the corner from ours, or the site around the corner from ours.
All right, well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, there's an existing building here. It's been here since 2017, and this application is looking to help us fill the ground floor space with a community facility tenant.
Okay.
Sorry, do you mind if I stop sharing so I can see you?
Yeah, well, you see, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, thank you. I'll share if anyone needs to see anything. It's just nice to be able to see who I'm talking to.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is Bill Flanoy. May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Okay. The extension you're requesting, what's the exact distance that you're asking for? I'm sorry, I don't quite know that.
185 feet from where Fleet Place is, 185 feet west. It's and it's going to be marked on the map that goes in the text.
No.
That's a question.
And which side? Is it going to be both sides of the street, or just enclosing your envelope building?
It's only on the south side of the street. The special district is not located on the north side of the street or across from us.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming that you are proposing to allow use group 4, right? And I just wanted to clarify for everybody that that you're not requesting for use group 3, which includes community facility with sleeping accommodations, correct?
Well, it would permit any community facility use that's permitted by the underlying zoning district. So I believe that would be encompassed in that. I don't believe we've been speaking with any tenants that do have sleeping accommodations.
Are there any other comments or questions from board members?
Yeah, Colton.
Community members?
Can you hear me, Colton?
I can hear somebody vaguely,
It's Ernest. Can you hear me?
barely.
The question is just about the commercial market, that you cannot find a commercial tenant at all. Is it the market or is it just the location?
I'm going to ask my client, Robert, do you mind, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We've been marketing this property for 3 years, and we just haven't found takers. I think it's partially the location because, you know, along Flatbush Avenue, you have a pretty healthy commercial strip, including the building with the Target and the Trader Joe's. So, you know, along the strip, there's already you know, our section, there's already a supermarket in the building next door. There's the, small, bodega type store down the block. So I think it's largely the location versus tenants already there. We had a similar issue with our low-rise buildings across Fleet Place, and the community board and city planning was good enough to grant us similar relief a couple years ago. And since that was done, successfully, we brought in, Brooklyn Hospital for their dialysis center. Century Medical is coming in to start occupancy next year, as well as Brooklyn Community Services for daycare. And for whatever reason, this strip across Flatbush Avenue has just not been a mecca for the type of commercial uses provided in the zoning at time. But there does seem to be a considerable demand for the community facility, whether it's servicing Ingersoll across the street or, the residents in our buildings or University Towers behind us. So I really can't tell you exactly why, but I can tell you that we've had very, very little interest from the type of commercial tenants provided for the zoning.
Okay, you mentioned, this is Bill Flinoy again. You mentioned,
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, you mentioned that you had some interest that was already from some individuals already. How recent was that interest as far as rentals?
It's pretty much ongoing. We are negotiating with one particular party for a lease at this time. So, this is not let's get let's request the ULURP and maybe something will happen in a couple of years. I'm hopeful that if the ULURP is successful, we can have this occupied within the year.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because based on what's going on right now throughout the city, there's a lot of rents that are going down. A lot of people are moving out of the city. So I was curious, in fact, if you had any prospects that were actually strong prospects. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we do, but again, it's only on the community side, and again, it's just because I think where we're located across from Ingersoll, it's a good location for that. It's probably not. Listen, we at one point thought this would be a great restaurant location, but that certainly has turned out not to be the case.
No, I totally understand. I just want to make sure I understand what you're doing. Don't worry. I just wanted to ask if, in fact, you had anyone that was looking to do this now. That's all.
The answer is yes, and we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Can I make a motion to approve the changes to the zoning text amendment as requested?
Okay, Audrey, we'll hold on to that motion.
Okay.
I'll come to you when we get to the committee part of the discussion, but I'll give you first crack at making that motion. Just check. That's all right. I just want to check with Rob Paris. Are there any people who wish to testify at this hearing, who signed in or interested?
I noticed that Chad Perky, the executive director of the Myrtle Avenue bid, is on the call. I don't know if he wishes to speak or not. As committee members will note, his testimony in favor of the application was distributed in advance of the meeting.
Yes, I've seen that.
Chad, did you wish to add anything to your written statement?
No, thanks, Rob, though, for the moment. Just to say, that as the Business Improvement District on Myrtle Avenue, we've worked closely with Red Apple Group there for the last few years in leasing of this space and for their other properties as well. And we support the proposal here as a means to just increase the viability of the space and the opportunities that could be brought there to the corner of Fleet and Myrtle. So just want to echo what our letter says, that we are in support of the proposal.
Mr. Gordon, no one has raised their hand indicating that they would like to speak. So if you would like to
I want to
close
say
the-
something.
Oh,
This is Esther. I
Go
just,
ahead.
can you just clarify about, you keep saying it will be used as community use. I just want to know exactly what do you mean by that? Do you predict, I'm a little confused when you keep saying that. I want to know what type of business or organization will be in that building.
Sure. So the problem that we've been having with the text as it is that it doesn't permit what the zoning resolution classifies as community facility uses, use groups 3 and 4. In our case, the tenants we've spoken to and who have shown interest in this space are medical facilities and daycare facilities.
Community facilities is a defined term in the zoning resolution.
It'll allow, just what it says, groups, let's say not-for-profit groups, medical groups, whoever is interested in, I guess we would call it betterment of the community. All right, if there are no one else is coming forward, it is now 6:29 p.m. I will finish the hearing for 86 Fleet Place. And now we will move on to the next, which is the Board of Standards of Appeals hearing for 161 Emerson. We'll
Yes,
start
and
hearing right now. So,
yes, and
Emerson
if
Place.
I'm ready to present.
Okay,
So
let's just go through my little spiel, and then you can jump right in. It's a Board of Standard and Appeals application 2020-84, B as in boy, Z as in zoo. In the matter of the application 2020-84BZ, filed for the Board of Standards and Appeals on behalf of the Institute for Community Living pursuant to section 72-21 and 73-623 of the zoning resolution of the City of New York for a special permit for variance at the zoning of the zoning resolution related to maximum permitted floor area, maximum number of dwellings, maximum wall, and maximum and total height, maximum number of floor space, and request rear yard in the court in the court regulatory regulations in the court to facilitate the development of a new use group 2, 11 stories and cellar residential use, residential building, containing 80 units. Let's see, having including 49 units. So we have here of affordable, supportive housing at 161 Emerson Place, block 1909, lot 1. Brooklyn Community Board 2. This is from the Institute of Community Living, which we have dealt with previously in this board. And we did grant over at, at Nevins and Skimmerhorn. We approved their previous application on this one. Institute for Community Living is a group that does good work for people of modest and income means. Okay, so whenever the presenters are ready, go right ahead.
Thank you so much. Can people hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I guess I didn't ask anything specific. So first and foremost, we want to thank everyone for hosting us tonight. Thank the community board and this committee. We really appreciate your time. It is not easy to get on another Zoom call, and we know that. We're going to try and keep it as brief as we can. I'm going to start by giving you just a quick overview of why we're here, introduce you to our team, and then we'll get started with a brief presentation. So, you know, the sort of bird's eye view, what are we up to? We're here with ICL, which is, as you know, a fantastic not-for-profit social services and affordable housing developer. ICL has a program called the Emerson Davis Family Reunification Program that you'll hear more about in a minute. And that program is housed at 161 Emerson Place, the site that we're going to be discussing. The building is too small to accommodate the number of apartments that the program needs. Those apartments are actually themselves undersized and not adequate for modern families, and that's actually by design. The building was built in, I think, 1913 for bachelor women who needed very tiny apartments. ICL wants to expand its program. They want to incorporate a number of affordable housing units that are in addition to their affordable supportive housing units. And to do so, they've applied to the Board of Standards and Appeals for an application for a variance under 7221 and a special permit under 73623. BSA, of course, wants to hear from the community board, and so we are here to sort of walk you through our application and to answer any questions that you have. So just to quickly let you know who we are, the applicant, as noted, is ICL, represented here by Nick Ori, who's the CFO. Also from ICL on this call or Zoom is Sam Miller and Nicole Robinson Etienne. They are the external affairs officers, chief officers. We've got the architects are here as well. The project architect is Datner. We've got John Wolfling and Andrew Harris. You probably know this, you may know this, Datner is known for just incredibly thoughtful, well-programmed design, and this project is certainly no exception. Also with us is Joe Bieber. Joe is a housing development consultant who's been in the business for about 30 years, the last 5 exclusively with ICL. And Joe is sort of an expert on financing affordable and supportive housing projects. As we'll get to later, that's really crucial here. The reason that we are building this project at the size that we are is because we need to be able to finance it and keep it affordable forever. And that's what Joe's helping with. Lastly, we're Goldman Harris. Carrie Harris, who's the managing partner of the firm, is on this call. I don't know if her camera is working. My name is David Schnackenberg. I'm counsel to the firm. And having gotten through all of that, I'll just introduce Nick to talk a little bit more about ICL and this incredible program. So Nick, if you could jump in.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Sound check?
Yes.
Great. So again, as David said, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to present not just the program at 161 Emerson, but ICL as well. For those who know about ICL, those who don't, I'll keep it very high level. ICL has been operating in New York City for 30 plus years, getting actually very close to 35 years. And our focus is on the behavioral health space, as well as the intellectually development disabled space as well. We're one of the leaders of New York City in terms of housing or residential. We have supportive housing programs as well as congregate care programs all through 5 boroughs of New York City, but predominantly in Brooklyn. That's where we started, that's where we've been growing and doing some really amazing work. We have a variety of different programs, as I mentioned, from the residential side to family housing, to supportive housing, as well as ensuring that the service, not just the residential services, but the treatment services that the clients need are also received by ICL as well. So we are one of the leaders in what's called the integrated care or the whole health model. And ICL's true mission is to make sure that we provide all of the care necessary for the clients that we serve. As you can see by some of the statistics on the screen, we take care of over 10,000 people on an annual basis. Over 2,500 people sleep with us or sleep in one of our residences or one of our apartments every single night. So we're very proud that we do take care of a lot of people in New York City and a lot of vulnerable people that really need the services that we provide. So with that being said, 161 Emerson itself, one of the biggest points that I want to point out here is that it is a one-of-a-kind program. The Emerson Davis program that's been in function for more than 20 years is a family reunification program. What that means is that we are providing services for mostly single women, that usually is the population, who have lost their kids in one form or another, whether it's associated with homelessness, substance abuse, or any other type of disability that may exist out there. And the goal of the program is to bring those clients to a stable residential location, and then try to figure out what are the needs and the services that are going to get them to reunite with their kids. So that's really what the goal or the mission of the program is. All of the services are brought on site to that location at 161 Emerson. So we've got some very small, I don't want to use the word childcare, but areas for family services, for case management services, as well as many other needs that would be applicable to the clients that are living there. We help them with employment opportunities. We help them with vocational or just basic treatment, getting them off of a substance issue that they might have is a very simple example that's out there. Another big statistic that you can see right there on that third bullet point is that we're very proud that we have a 72% reunification, percentage for this specific program. If you were to look at statistics across the country, it ranges more between 30 to 40%. So, one of the things that we really take pride in is that we do this and we do this very well, and to bring individuals together with their kids and to move them forward. And while that sounds amazing, there are challenges. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we're here today. As David spoke about earlier, the units are very small. This was built a very long time ago and not meant for the very specific purpose that we're trying to accomplish here at Emerson Davis. While we believe we're successful, we want to be even more successful. We want to have the ability to help even more people. And what we can't do is that we can't expand on that. The apartments, as I've said, layout as John Wolfling and Andrew Harris will go through are extremely small. We don't have the opportunity for bigger families because of the size of the units. The ground floor and the basement are also very small and doesn't allow for the expansion of the other on-site services that we may need for that. And then one of the most important aspects of this, and you might be familiar with this concept, is the integration into the community. We want to make sure that these clients get that integration to live in, I'll use that word normal, and not just be surrounded just by other supportive housing units. So what this project will then also do is allow for that community integration, because you won't just have the clients on the supportive housing side, but you'll have the affordable side, which is the community at large. So that combination will become a critical treatment for the clients as well. So with all those challenges, and if you go to the next slide.
I just lost connection on mine, so I will log right back in. And
okay. I'll move forward even without the slide. So the next slide, so what does that mean? What can we do with those challenges and obstacles with the special permit and variance is to expand the building. The goal will be to move from that 32 units that it currently is to 81 with a 60-40 split, 60% being the supportive housing units for the clients associated with the program I just spoke about, and then 40% of those 81 units to be for the community on the affordable housing side, permanent affordable housing, of course, with an AMI, average median income, no greater than 57%. So, we do follow the HPD requirements that are out there. These will all be affordable, permanent residences with a mixture of both the supportive side and the affordable side, with a lot of amenities expanding which again the architects will go through as well. We'll go through the layout and the design of the piece. I'll take a quick stop right here. Hopefully Andrew can lock back on.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it over to John Wolfling. I seem to have some sharing issues, so you can.
Mr. Harris, we're actually looking at your desktop right now.
I'm aware. I'm okay. Unable to sign back into my desktop. So if you can disconnect.
So if you could transfer it over to me, that would be great. I've got the slides all queued up and ready to go.
No problem. Mr. Me, what is your name, please?
John Wolfling.
Okay, 1 second.
Great, thank you.
While you're doing that, I just want to throw out my understanding then, of course, this is going to be a low-income affordables, and the affordabilities will be running with the buildings. You'll be filing some kind of regulatory agreement that will run with the property, and you'll be selecting your tenants through, I guess, from the Department of Housing Preservation and Development of New York City. I guess those are my understandings as well. If I'm wrong, let me know.
You are correct.
Okay.
Let me respond to that. That's actually one of the sort of really special things about this project is ICL is committing both for their supportive housing and for their non-supportive housing to be 100% affordable for the life of the development. BSA only allows this avenue of relief for projects that are geared towards very low income households. And so ICL, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, is committing to renting only to earners at or below 60% AMI, and that will be every unit in the building, and that will be for the life of the development as per a restrictive declaration that ICL will record against the property. We say 60% AMI, but you know, that's not always a helpful metric. No one in the building will have to pay any more than 30% of their income towards rent, and most residents will be paying far less than that because of. We can talk about that more, but
it's good to hear.
Can we do questions?
I'm sorry?
Can we ask questions, Carlton?
Let me just, before I start, is there anything else that the ICL people or anybody else wishes, the presenters wish to inform us of?
If you don't mind, we'd like to tell you a little bit more about the building and the reason we're constructing it the way we are. So if Andrew
I'll give you a few minutes to.
Okay, maybe Andrew and John can just run down the building and the design of the building, show you guys this beautiful space.
Assuming you can all see the aerial image right now, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Andrew, why don't you take over?
No problem. So the aerial image that we're looking at just gives us a sense of the place. Obviously, everyone here is familiar with the Clinton Hill neighborhood. We are in Community District 2. Next slide, please.
Andrew, if I can interrupt for a second, is it possible to share the presentation without previewing the next slide so that the image is larger?
It should be. There should be a full screen. But
yeah.
Maybe next to the next to the magnifying glass.
Do you think it's on my end, Andrew, or do you think it's
Yeah, it's on your end.
Okay.
I apologize for I seem to be having issues only when I'm sharing the screen.
Okay. Best you can, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
This is Carrie.
Okay, just do what you can do. Go right ahead. Please continue with your presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
We're looking at a closer context of 161 Emerson. As we see, the site is bounded on the south by Willoughby Avenue, on the north by Myrtle Avenue, and there are several adjacent zoning districts on this site. We have our site is an R6 zoning district. We're also adjacent to an R7-1, an R6B, and an R7A. Great, we have the full screen. So a couple of other things just to note that's visible in this view. We see a varying degree of height in the neighborhood. We have some residential scale buildings. We have some taller buildings towards to the west of the site, And also along Myrtle Avenue, we have some contemporary architecture with the Pratt supportive building and also some new residences. And then adjacent to our site on the south, we're looking at the Pratt campus. And this is a particular area of importance to me, as I am also a Pratt graduate and lived in Clinton Hill for 5 years. So as we look at this neighborhood context, one of the things that we also like to point out, the mix of contemporary and historic architecture. Our site is not in a historic district, but we are adjacent to the Clinton Hill Historic District. So, those are things that we're taking into consideration, as well as the mix of colors. We have some real residential colors. We have a dark red, deep red, some tans, and so the presence of brick on this site as well.
I'll talk very briefly about the zoning district regulations that have brought us to your board. So we are in the R6 district. The R6 district has a maximum FAR for residential buildings of 3 and for community facility buildings of 4.8. ICL, were it not applying for relief through the Board of Standards and Appeals, would be building this building as a community facility building, which would allow 48,000 square feet of floor area on the zoning lot. We're asking for an increase of about 12,000 square feet of floor area, which is 5.99 FAR. We're also asking for relief related to the base height of the building, both with the minimum, which must be 40 feet, and the maximum, which must be 60 before a 10-foot setback. And we're also asking for relief related to the maximum building height. 75 feet is the permitted height. This building tops out at just above 110 feet, although as you'll see, it steps down considerably as it moves north, steps south, sorry. We're also asking for density waivers. This is another really helpful illustration. The red blocking is the massing of an as-of-right building. The blocking behind it, the white blocking, shows you our proposed design. As you can see, that the massing of the building in red is much smaller. It doesn't accommodate the number of units we need. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see how the setback requirements would impact the upper floors of the building. You wouldn't be able to provide units of an adequate size for families that are ADA compliant, that meet HPD guidelines. We would result, the project, if it were being built as of right, would simply be too small, with too few units of too small a size. So we can go right on to the next slide, and maybe John can talk a little bit about the design of the building. I know we're eager to get to the questions as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, David.
You're building out the building. I make it a pun, but you are building it out a little more.
Correct. We need to do that to have the right program in this location. So I will try to be brief. So these photos that you see here are the existing building on Emerson, and some of the buildings to the north. On the lower left-hand side, you see some of the buildings to the north. These are older buildings, especially the 139 Emerson is an older building. It has very tall floor-to-floors. So even though it is 5.5 stories, it's a very tall 5.5 stories. There's also the building just to the north of that 135 Emerson, which is many more stories. It's 12 or 13. So this is our proposed design. This is what you see from the playground across the street. And as has been described earlier in the call, we have a massing that is stepping down to the north, and maintaining an open space to the north that is part of that reunification program. It's an important part of that. We've also got the building stepping horizontally, stepping away from the street. It looks like it might be 3 different buildings, but it's really one building with one entrance and one residential program that's, as we've said earlier, integrated. The colors that we are picking up here, as Andrew mentioned, the neighborhood is a mix of reds and browns, very earthy tones, so we're picking up on that. We're also picking up on some of the historical architectural design principles of creating a base for the building, having scale and fenestration that are of an appropriate scale and configuration. So we feel that even though this is a building that is larger than what's there, it is still very much in keeping with the context to the neighborhood. The 11 stories that you see here are really in keeping with a lot of the other buildings in the neighborhood, and we're not the tallest building in the neighborhood. There's many other examples of tall buildings very close to the site.
You only have one elevator bank or more?
We have 2 elevators centrally located within the building. So this is a good slide to be looking at for that. Our entrance is down. Our entrance is on Emerson. Willoughby is over here on the right-hand side, but the entrance you come in, and this is going to be a contemporary residential building. Even though we have this very specialized reunification program, it's really going to be a residential building with residential amenities. There is a program component on the ground floor that's very specialized down here on this end in the kind of light purple. That is the supportive program. It's immediately accessible when you come in. If another one of the residents that's not enrolled in that family unification program has some sort of need to meet with a counselor or something, it's right there. It's very accessible. So in addition to that program, we have a 24/7. That's part of this model of housing. We have mailboxes, a package room, family services, an activity room, a tenant teaching kitchen, which could be part of a skills teaching or just health and wellness program, tenant lounge, and then access to the outdoor play space. All of these tenant amenities are going to be accessible to all of the residents. There'll have to be maybe some scheduling that works around the specialized program. But there's also down in the cellar things like bike storage, which is now a contemporary thing for any residential building, workspace, computer lab, which is again another skills building program, laundry and fitness space. So this is going to be an integrated residential building that I think will be a great addition to the neighborhood.
Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we're going to open it up to questions from the committee now.
Okay.
Okay. First, I'll just add that I've seen a letter. I guess somewhere in the records, there's a letter of support from the Robert Moon of the New York State Office of Mental Health, and he expresses enthusiastic support in a letter dated August 3rd of 2020. Okay, I will now go first ask for committee members and board members. I think Daughtry, you did have a special interest in this one. So I'll go with Daughtry, if you can hear me.
I do have a special interest in this. This is, I care greatly about this kind of supportive and affordable housing. I did do my homework and looked around, contextually to understand how a building of this size might fit in the neighborhood. Appreciate as an architect to the architects, the contextualization that you've put into the rendering here. I understand that the site is very irregular. Its aspect ratio is very strange. It's very narrow. And so understandably, the units for legal light and air need to face the streets. So I appreciate what you've put here, proposed, and I don't really have any other questions. I just had a comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sultan, Hazra?
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Hazra.
Yeah, you're going to break down the old building. And secondly, you didn't mention the units that you would be having, or if you did, I missed it.
Into the details.
Yeah. So the great part about what Dattner's design is that it really is integrated. you've got, as you can tell by the floor layout that's in front of you, the combination of studios, one bedrooms, and two bedrooms are across every floor. So there is no separation. You're going to have a unit that's going to be affordable and a unit that'll be supported right next to each other. The thought process is that that family reunification program is going to use up a lot of the two bedrooms. As you can imagine, with the reunification process, with kids, multiple kids, we really need that space to incorporate that. And a lot of the skills training and social services that are going to come out will come out with that extra space that's there. We haven't fully designated, X percentage going to the affordable, Y to the supportive. We'll work that out as we kind of get better with the full plans, approvals, and the financing behind it. But the goal, again, is to have a mixture of integration throughout the building.
I have a question, Carlton.
And were you going to break down the old building to put this up?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, I like what I see. Congratulations. It's a very nice project.
Okay, I hear another question from.
You have a question, Carlton?
Yes, go ahead. Who is? I can't see.
This is Ernest.
Oh, okay, hello, Ernest.
Okay. I do have a question in terms of how do you identify this building, given its narrowness and its size, that you have to now go to the BSA to ask for a variance because you can't get your numbers straight. The finances just doesn't work. I would imagine that you'll find a location where the numbers does work up front. So I'm just curious in terms of how do you identify 161 Emerson Place if your numbers, the financial analysis doesn't help you unless you go to the BSA?
Sure, that's a great question. ICL has actually owned this building for
I
quite a
can hear
while.
you.
ICL has owned this building for many years and has operated the Emerson Davis program within the building. They didn't come to the building with the intention, but the program has been so successful and there is so much demand that they need to expand. And because they own the site and because despite its challenges, it's actually, as you know, this is a wonderful community and it's a great place to have this program, ICL is choosing to redevelop the site that it is.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive about this community and its character or its context. I've seen, the increment changes taking place within the community context. The 4-story, 5-story seem to define Clinton Hill and Fort Greene. And I'm just very sensitive about any people with good intention wanting to change the character. There's a number of cases where we have developers asking for dispensation because they cannot get their financial numbers correct, but it tends to at the expense of the community. It does more harm for the people that live here. So we have to suffer that burden because of financial, consideration. I understand you're not expanding the zoning lot. You're gonna stay with the R6. The St. Mary's Church. Are you in contact with St. Mary's? Do they have any concern about this location?
So thank you for those comments. There were a lot, and I'm going to try and sort of unpack them back to you. And if I mischaracterize anything, please let me know. It sounds like you were talking about sensitivity to the neighborhood, in particular with the height building. Datner has worked very hard to develop this building in such a way that its impact on the street and the neighborhood is minimized. Now, of course, it is a new building, and it is bigger than the old building, and there will be some impact. But when you see the rendering, you see how there's sort of a double recessing of the building, so it tapers and shortens as it goes up Emerson Place. You also mentioned
the size of the lot. I see it, but the lot as you go north, it narrows.
That's right. It's because of the lot, but it's also it's an accommodation to the park across the street and to be less imposing on the community. You also mentioned that sort of developer-driven projects where the developers are seeking relief and getting a windfall. And I want to be absolutely clear. ICL is a nonprofit organization, and there's no windfall to be made here. When we go to the BSA, we present financials and we say, BSA, in order for this project to be 100% affordable forever, we need to build a certain number of units, because the reduced rents of a certain number of units can pay for the project. They will not allow us to build an inch more than we need to cover the costs of the affordable units. And so there's no profit-driven agenda here. The building simply serves to house affordable units. As for sort of a changing neighborhood, you mentioned protecting the community for the people who are already here. ICL already has 32 tenants in the building, and those tenants are going to stay in the building. They'll be relocated temporarily during construction, and then those who wish to return will be invited back to the program. This is not an instance where a building is being demolished and new tenants are being brought in. ICL will be working very closely with the tenants to make sure that they have adequate accommodation during construction, and they will have the option to come back to the building when it's rebuilt at the affordable rents or incredibly reduced rents that they pay now. With respect to the church behind the building, the church is aware of this development. We are, sort of as good neighbors, as good community members, we're trying to make everyone aware of the development. I would note that there is an intermediate parcel between ICL, between Emerson Place and the church, where I believe there's a development site, and there may be a development going up. I believe there is a development going up rather behind our building. So forgive me if I didn't catch one of your questions. There was a little bit of the audio problem. I hope that answered you, and certainly if you have another question, we'd love to try and answer it again.
No, you answered the question. I mean, I had no objection to the program. I had no objection to mental health, programs. I mean, that's needed, and I support that. It's just, again, the character of the community, of the neighborhood that I'm looking at. That's all.
Surely. Those are important considerations. ICL is a community member too, and they really do care about protecting the community.
Yeah. All right, Carl, this is Bill Flanoy. I have a couple of questions.
Yes, Bill.
Okay, excellent. Yes, currently in the current building, what's your capacity? And currently you're talking about adding additional people. What's the wait list that you're looking at?
Currently we have, I'm sorry. Currently there are 32 units on the site. At the end of the day, when the building is built from an affordable housing perspective, the wait list there is no wait list that we're aware of, but there is an overall need for affordable housing. At the end of the day, HPD has a huge amount in the pipeline to build to deal with the homelessness and many different issues that occur in New York City. So there are well more applicants than the actual units that are being built. So in the normal course of application process, when the building is built, we'll work with HPD and their process to make sure that we meet the requirements of affordable housing, that 57% AMI that we spoke about. We have a process that we work with homeless shelters for the applicants associated with the supported housing side, because as you can imagine, for family reunification, having a permanent residence, having a secure location to live is one of the key factors in that reunification side. So there is plenty of opportunity for people to live in here. It's just a matter of building the space and building the more units.
Understood. Next question I have, when you have individuals who do reunite, is it possible for them to then move into the permanent housing?
Absolutely. So as we mentioned before, this will be a permanent housing, permanent affordable housing units. All of them will be. What you're talking about is just a normal transition, normal progress. So when there is unification, there's absolutely an opportunity to see if the people and the residents could go into more independent living. Those are one of the key things that we work on. It's very difficult. I'm not going to lie to you about that. It's very difficult to do. It takes time. There are a lot of obstacles, but that's what we pride ourselves in doing.
And I'll just point out again, it's keep it in mind that your full concept for this project will run with the land. It will be filed with against the block and lots of this building. So it's not something that can be just tossed aside. And it will be part of the building, so to speak, and part of the process.
Absolutely.
I have a question. Hi, it's Esther.
Yes, Esther.
Can you speak more about the supportive services? Can you confirm that the supportive services will be there Monday through Friday, 9 through 5, not on the weekend? And can you talk about what's the staffing, like as case managers? There'll be a clinician on site, someone to do parenting skills, I guess. What kind of staffing will you have?
Everything that you just described will be on site. So let me break that down a little bit so we can talk about all the different components to it. The first and foremost is we will have the word security, but they're really front desk counselors that will be there 24/7, Monday through Friday, 24/7. I'm sorry, 7 days a week, 24/7. So that's going to be part one of the building itself. Part two will be that case management that you spoke about. Those will be case managers that are experienced in this field and in the social services realm. And since we currently operate this building for that parenting skills, those vocational skills, and the reunification, we've got a lot of expertise and experienced professionals that will remain. So there will be a good amount of case managers there. Then Monday through Friday, I'll be completely honest, I'm not sure of the scheduling, but we usually have some level of supervision all 7 days. And so that's going to be one of the important factors associated with it, because reunification occurs all the time. It just doesn't happen Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So we do have a scheduling that will be built for the 7 days a week from a case management perspective. As for the other services, we did talk about that a little bit, as John did, with that teaching kitchen that we'll hopefully be able to use for vocational purposes. A family room, which allows for visits, because sometimes when kids are visiting the client, sometimes it's supervised by outside agencies, so you need a private space. So we've got that built. So there's a lot of components that go into it based on the specific needs of the clients that are living there.
Again, one more. Will you have a clinician?
I still had some more questions.
You have a clinician?
Let us to finish, and then Bill, you can take. But let's ask to finish. Go ahead, Esther.
I was asking about a clinician.
Yes, the case managers are clinicians, and we will have what we typically call a program director, who is typically either a social worker or have some sort of certification from a clinical perspective. Yes, those will be on site as well, as based on the needs of the clients.
Okay, Bill, we're back to you.
Okay, thank you. And now, as far as the people who are actually living there, who then go into the affordable housing, because they're moving in, they're going to start losing space. At some point, will they ask to be moved to another location so that other individuals can then move in? Because if you continue to have individuals move in and then stay, that's going to limit the other individuals who will need this space also. And is there a point where people can age out? Okay, for instance, the children become of age, and then they no longer are children that are now dependents.
It's a great point. And, you know, because we've been doing this program for quite a while, we've experienced a lot of those different things. The first and foremost is it's really client by client, need by need. You know, we usually don't have age restrictions because for the most part, the kids are young, especially in the beginning. We have seen transition. We have seen clients move out of the building to either other supported into the community, because at the end of the day, you know, they want to be more integrated into the community, be more independent. So we work with them to do that over time. It does take time. I'll be honest with you. This is not something that we see happening, you know, in weeks or months or even sometimes 1 or 2 years. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it does take an extended period of time to really develop all the skills, gain the stability needed. But that is the ultimate goal, to have people move on so that we can help new people as those people move on.
All right, thank you, Bill. Are there any other committee members or board members that wish to have a comment on what?
Carlton, this is John.
Yes, John.
Yeah, I want to speak to this particular project. I am co-chair of the Myrtle Avenue Business Improvement District, along with Francis Bronet from Pratt Institute and St. Joe's College. We formed this bid about 15 years ago as a way of reaching into the community. So on Myrtle Avenue, we also have a brand new stone wall house that has been incorporated nicely into the community and into Myrtle Avenue. We have lots of other services. We have GMAC, which is the Gangsters Making Change. As a bid, we don't just look at the businesses, we look at the entire community. And so this particular project was also welcomed by the bid. We have, of course, done all of the research and gotten answers as have been repeated tonight. This is a newer program, we understand. It's going to have fits and starts and bumps and things like that. But we were assured that its oversight would be effectively incorporated into the community. So we're very happy this addition. I should also add that there are 70,000 homeless families in the city of New York. If you divide that 70 by each council district, there are 1,000 or 1,200 or 1,300 families that each council district should absorb. This is a very small step in that process. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any others from board members or committee members? Okay, hearing none.
Quickly,
Yes.
I would build on Mr. Dew's comment and just remind us that our #1 goal, or one of the top 3, is to provide more affordable housing in our district. And this does that.
Thank you, Daughtry.
If there are no more questions, we'd just like to thank you. Make sure that we avail ourselves to you. If there are any questions down the line, you can, our contact information is sent to your offices, but you can reach out directly to ICL, certainly to Goldman Harris or Datner with any other questions. As we go through this process, we want to be as available as we can. And we just thank you so much for your time this evening. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Now you might stay online because we'll be doing the votes shortly. Before we conclude the hearing, I just want to ask District Manager Rob Paris, are there any people who have signed in or indicated that they wish to comment, people who are not on the board or committee members?
Yes, you can hear me?
Hello?
Hello, my name is Renee Mitchell, and I'm a former client, consumer for ICL.
Okay,
and
Renee Mitchell, and you, okay. Go ahead.
And I actually lived at 161 Emerson Place, and I can tell you that the apartments there, I lived there with my child for 7 years, and the apartments are very small. Okay, it's half of a kitchen. Okay, the bedrooms are very small. Okay, the child care downstairs is very small, and we need expansion. Okay, for bigger apartments to be able to raise our kids. As far as the caseworkers, we have associate director, we have a director, we have caseworkers, we have front desk counselors, and these people are saving people like me lives. I had a problem with mental health, drug addiction, and these people have worked with me and helped me be able to raise my child and keep a roof over my head and help me be independent. And I think that allowing this contract to go through, you will be helping other residents and consumers like me that was homeless, that had drug addiction problems, that had mental health problems, and you'll be helping our kids.
Ms. Mitchell, sounds like you're in support of the application.
Yes, and I've been with ICL for 15 years. I'm still an ICL resident, but now I'm in Scatterside apartment, okay, in ICL. And also with Scatterside apartment, they have a hard time getting clients like us and our families to get into apartments in the community because a lot of landlords don't want to accept apartments from programs. So for the program, to have their own apartments to be able to house us, that would be a wonderful thing.
Okay, Ms.
So
Mitchell, thank you.
I hope that y'all can consider allowing this expansion, because not only will you be saving people lives, which is ICL is doing, saving people lives, okay, with this pandemic and all these homeless people out here with mental health issues, and it's not being addressed, you will be also helping them people with their lives also.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mitchell. Are there any other comments from people who wish to testify?
Mr. Gordon, no one has raised their hand in the chat panel. There was one other current or former resident of an ICL facility who did register for this meeting. I don't know if she is on the call or not.
That's me, Renee Mitchell.
No, there was, Ms. Mitchell, thank you for your comments. There was a second former resident or current resident.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, Mr. Gordon, I think public testimony is closed.
Okay, yes, that's 7.
Sorry, Rob, this is
Somebody just raised
Rob,
their
this is
hand.
Chad from Myrtle Avenue. Can I speak?
Yes, please, go ahead. You're Chad Purley? Yes.
Chad Perky, yes, from Myrtle Avenue. I'm sorry, I am overlooking the hand raised feature. It sounds like the committee is in support of the application, which is happy to hear. I just wanted to ask, or to say that on behalf of the Myrtle Avenue Partnership, we'd like to express support for this application. We commend the ICL team for the intentionality to propose a building here that's best meets the feasibility needs for the site, but also meets the context or tries to contextualize the new building as much as possible by incorporating the setbacks, step downs of the roof line, using appropriate facade color materials. And then beyond the building, I just think it's important to say for the record here that as a longstanding operator of supportive housing in Fort Greene and Clinton Hill, we know ICL as a reputable neighbor whose staff has been diligently serving some of our most vulnerable neighbors. And we see them as a valuable community resource that we hope to see supported by the committee here. We're excited about this rare opportunity to see a proposal that will expand truly affordable and supportive housing in our community, and we welcome the growth of their effective reunification program. So we encourage the committee to support the application here and enthusiastically do so.
Okay, and just to re-identify your program or your group.
Yep, Chad Perky with the Myrtle Avenue Brooklyn Partnership.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Perky. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Ann Bush from the Society for Clinton Hill.
Okay, Ms. Bush from Society of Clinton Hill, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say that we have met with the ICL group and we are in support of this project. We don't think it's an egregious ask on the waivers, and certainly their history in supportive housing and now combining it with additional affordable housing, and as well as increasing the amenities that would be available to both the supported housing and program people along with the affordable housing people is a good step. So we are in favor of it.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Bush. Do I have any others? Any other? Okay, hearing none. I see I have 7:21 p.m. I am now closing this hearing for the Emerson Place. Now, what we'll do is we're going to start the meeting, our regular community landmark land use committee meeting at 7:21 p.m. And we'll go right into any further committee discussion on 161 Emerson Place. I've heard a lot of positive comment. I would think that from what Autry and Hazra have stated, they would be willing to make the motion for support. Is that correct?
Correct. Motion to approve that ask.
Okay, we get Autry's motion. Ms. Ali, do you want a second? No.
This is Bill Flynn. I'll second.
Bill, okay, Bill, we have a second. Are there any other comments or questions from committee members?
Mr. Chair, this is Brian Howell. I just wanted to ask a clarifying question for, I guess,
Go ahead, Barry.
Can answer it. I just want to make sure that the downtown Brooklyn special use or special purpose use district allows use groups 5 through 12, except that on Myrtle Avenue, just east of here, between Ashland Place and Fleet Place, use group, or like all non-residential use groups that were permitted otherwise would be permitted, and we're just extending it to cover this one property. Is that the summary of the...
I think that Emerson is not on the downtown. I mean, if I'm, I don't think Emerson. Correct me, Rob, am I wrong? That wouldn't apply to the to Emerson.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's going to. I think it's going to have to be applicable. Yeah, yeah. I think that would be applicable to our Fleet Place because that's in downtown.
My mistake. I thought we were.
Okay, yeah.
Order.
Yeah, that's Fleet's in downtown, definitely. But Emerson is a bit further out. Over, really think of it as Pratt land, as I would call it, or the Pratt neighborhood. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, I guess I'll rely upon District Manager Paris to read out the roll, and so we can vote on this.
And how do you vote, Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Ms. Janner, were you able to join the call?
Yes. Well, I've been here all along. Thank you. Yeah, my vote, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Ali?
Yes.
Mr. Augustus?
Yes.
Ms. Blount?
Yes.
Ms. Karstarfin?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Sproul, were you able to join us? Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Dew? I'll circle back. Mr. Flanoy?
Yes.
Ms. Ginsburg, were you able to join us? Ms. Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Stanton, were you able to join us? Mr. Dew, are you able to unmute yourself? And if so, how do you vote?
I think it looks like he's not on the call. He probably got dropped.
Voting is 10 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Institute for Community Living. Now we'll move over back to 86 Fleet.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion? Okay, well, first, let me make a motion to approve the application on 86 Fleet Place.
I'll second.
Okay. Anybody make the first motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, Irene, I guess Irene first, and the second will be Daughtry, I guess.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Any further comments or questions from committee board members? If not, okay.
Mr. Chair, sorry, this is Brian now asking the question at the appropriate time.
Right, yes, okay. This should be part of the downtown. Yes, this is part of the downtown district, you know. So yeah, I think it would be applicable.
Rachel, would you like to address the issue of use group?
Sure. Hi. So yeah, the portion that we're extending on that map is the non-residential requirement, and what it does is it allows all use groups, non-residential use groups that would be permitted by the underlying zoning, which here is a C64. So it's basically lifting that retail restriction, making it a little bit broader. It's not introducing any uses that wouldn't be permitted by the underlying zoning.
And I believe Ms. Johnson asked, or somebody asked before about the use groups that will be permitted as a result of this change includes use group 4, but not use group 3. It didn't get a clear answer as to which use groups will now be permitted if this changes.
It would include 3 and 4, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Any other questions or comments?
This is Bill Flanoy.
Yes, Bill.
I'm in favor of this, but I will say to the committee, this is a cautionary tale. I think we should be very careful to approve and disapprove going forward based on the fact that they had a hard time finding lease or tenants to actually lease. So I think this is a cautionary tale, and we should take that into account going forward.
It's not the easiest situation, but I think they're trying to make that particular lot work. It is an odd situation. We're in the midst of a lot of development, a lot of commercial activity, but that particular block is one in which it's really not very much used for people passing by. There's some people driving by, but not generally passing by. So it's an odd situation. So they're trying to make the best of what's out there.
I understand that, sir. I was saying we should be careful about what we approve and what we disapprove based on the location, just as you were stating.
Yeah, I know. Look, I live right by it, so it's I know I'm going to have to live with it.
No,
Any
I
others?
approve of this. I don't have a problem with this. I'm just saying
Yeah,
in the future, we need to be careful what we approve, where we approve it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, understood. Is there no other further comments? Yeah.
Just an observation.
Hello?
Yeah, it's I just have an observation about fleet. You know, it's more of a neighborhood shopping street than a regular commercial strip, and that's why you couldn't attract commercial tenants, because Myrtle Avenue really sort of supports the neighborhood, the local neighborhood, more so than a broader commercial strip. And you know, I understand the need to change that just to meet that. And that's just a cautionary tale in terms of how commerce works and what type of commercial tenant they're trying to attract. You know, it may be a local neighborhood merchant more so than anybody from outside the neighborhood that could possibly use that location, but it could attract. You know, that location used to serve residents from the Fort Greene housing project primarily, and that's always been that strip focus. Even when Cassidy had his supermarket, the clientele really came from the Fort Greene housing complex, more so than anything else. I don't know what's going to happen now since Redmond has now opened, and that's going to change the character. But I understand the need to change that group because you're not going to get a major commercial tenant there.
We understand that.
Just my observation.
Yeah. Is there anyone else? Okay, Mr. Harris, I guess you can give us a roll call again.
And you're at the top, Mr. Gordon?
Yes, I'll take yes.
Ms. Ganner?
Yes.
Ms. Ali?
Yes.
Mr. Augustus?
Yes.
Ms. Blount?
Yes.
Ms. Karstoffen?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes, Mr. Paris.
Thank you, Mr. Washington.
Mr. Du, have you rejoined us?
Yes, and I'm saying yes, absolutely yes again.
And absolutely yes.
All right.
Mr. Flanoy,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
the vote is unanimously in favor, 11-0-0.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, now we're going to hop over to 216 Dean Street, which is a LPC landmark preservation application. On this one, it's in Gorham Hill Historic District, located between Nevins and Bond on Dean Street. And it's an application to install a roof deck with planters and railing, the new stair bulkhead, and a canopy with solar panels. Hope you're still there. Thank you for your patience. And please, the presenters, go right ahead on 216 Dean Street.
Hi, this is Jim Hill. Can you hear me?
A little bit, if you can. I don't know if you can improve your audio.
How about if I just speak closer to
Yeah,
the
it's
phone
better.
here? Okay. I'm going to share my screen, and I will show you the documents we're looking at here. So I'm sure you're all familiar with this. I'm going to have to go down so it'll still work. Let me know if you can hear me. But you can see we're talking about Dean Street between Bond and Nevin.
Okay. Stay with your, you're breaking up on the audio.
All right. I'll try to do this one-handed here. I apologize.
Yeah, I understand. It's not easy.
All right. All right. So
that's better. That's better.
Okay. This is the historic photo. Little bit of general information. I have kind of inherited this project. It was already approved at a staff level via another architect for a passive house renovation in which there was no change to the bulk, and the only visible changes were the replacement of the windows with the simulated divided light, 4/6s, 4/4s, and so on. Again, all of that's been approved. What I'm here to discuss with you is the proposed roof bulkhead and solar canopy. So I'll kind of breeze through the first few pages just to give you a little bit of context. So that's not so important. This is the existing second, third, and roof floors, the removed conditions being all in dashed lines. You can see where we'll be putting the rooftop bulkhead here. And again, that's right here on the proposed construction drawings. This area is the proposed solar canopy, and it sits above a proposed roof deck. You can see existing and proposed front elevations. We have our bulkhead. The solar canopy structure provides shade for the roof terrace or roof deck. It's tilted slightly off to the side for better solar exposure.
So what's on your, okay. Oh, it's on the one you previously, what's on the left is what it looks like now. I guess, and what's on the right is what it will look like.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. The rear elevation, one on the left is existing, one on the right is proposed, and I will zoom in a little so that you can see a little bit more about what's proposed, because this is the part that's actually visible from certain vantage point on the street. We will have a bench. I'll have a detail of this later, but just to show you what you'd be looking at, would be a wood slats for the back of the bench and some planters with a railing above. And that's pretty much right up at the back facade. This section here that is a little bit further towards the front, maybe 6 or 7 feet from the back. And again, the solar canopy. Here's a section through the building showing that bulkhead. It would be kind of a squared off rectangular bulkhead with the solar canopy above. And the terrace or deck in the back. You know, the detail of this planter is essentially here, so there'll be a bench, the planter behind it, wood cladding close in line with the back facade, and a little section of railing. So again, this is the area that this is what would be visible from a view corridor from the end of the block. There's the elevation from it if you were standing on the roof deck. Again, the bulkhead, the seating area of the deck, and the canopy.
Will the roof deck have any lights or anything like that? Or people just be dependent on sunlight when they go out on the roof deck?
There will be. It's a good question. They aren't shown on here, but there would be a sconce on the side of the bulkhead. These are the window details. Again, they're already approved by Landmarks. They're Clear Wall is the brand, Triple P, simulated divided lights, passive house, again, approved at staff level now. So these are the standard details, front and back. The rear will have the 1/1s, whereas the front would have the divided lights. And so here is kind of a nice view of what one of these things actually looks like. This is not ours, but ours would be similar. In our case, there would be 2 of these legs that would, 2 sets of legs as shown here that sit on the parapet wall. On the other side would be the bulkhead. So the structure rests on the roof of the bulkhead, which will be designed to support that load. You can see the sightline diagram. We have a mock-up right now, and I'll show you that in a minute. But this is a sightline diagram of the bulkhead. Zoom in a little bit. So we've got the bulkhead, and again, the canopy on top, and view from our side of the street as well as from across the side of the street. And as you can see in these photos, I'll scroll down, across the street, directly across the street, down the block, up the block. You can see the different vantage points that these were taken from. The current mock-up is there, and you can see it on the roof. And you can see the rectangular bulkhead and the canopy essentially directly above it, as outlined. Again, none of this is visible from the front, but it is visible through a narrow view corridor between basically an empty lot on Bond Street. And here's where we are here, looking through those from across the street and from on the block side of the street. So I'll zoom in a lot more so you can really see what is orange is you can see the rectangular bulkhead and the solar canopy. And what's interesting, we only really noticed when we saw this, was that the neighboring property has a roof deck already, and this is their railing system. So our proposal won't be any more visible than that. I hope that's visible enough on the screen.
Yeah, I know that location.
Okay. So the bulkhead's up there now. you can go by anytime and see it. And I believe that is the last of our presentation.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions from committee members, board members?
I just had a question. Can you see any of the bulkhead and canopy from the actual street that you're on, as opposed to looking at an angle through a little space on Middle Block?
No, you can't. In these pictures here, the bulkhead is existing, but cannot be seen. That green construction fence is our property. So you can't see it at all from the street, from Dean Street.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Bill Flinoy.
Yes, Bill.
Okay, just to make me feel good, how far is it set back from the front of the building?
I don't have to recall offhand, but we have right here the canopy as designed now is set back 17 feet from the facade, from the front facade. We're seeing the dark line here is the zoning setback, 15 feet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other from committee or board members?
Can I make a motion to approve?
So moved. Okay. Have a
I'd like
second?
to second. Hazra seconded.
Okay, Ms. Ali, thank you. All right, so the motion's been moved. We have a movement and a second. Are there any other comments or questions for the motion? If not, I guess we'll do a quickie roll call. I'm in favor, and
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Ms. Janner,
Yes.
Ms. Ali,
Yes.
Mr. Augustus,
Yes.
Ms. Blount,
Yes.
Ms. Karstafen,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mr. Washington,
Yes, Mr. Paris.
Mr. Dew. I'll circle back. Mr. Flinoy,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Dew, were you able to unmute yourself? 10 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions, Mr. Gordon.
thank you very much. Thank you, presenters. You got it on 216D. We'll knock through hopefully the other housekeeping matters. This is we're up to community forum. Any non-committee members or non-board members that have anything they would to comment on?
Yes.
Hello?
Okay, Mr. Gordon, while you cut me off at the very beginning, I'm going to say what I was going to say anyway, which is that 130 Felix, St. Felix, that's an issue for us. The presentation that was made at the executive committee, for which we were not able to participate, was largely a ULURP. It was not a landmarks. Most of the issues discussed were ULURP related. You had pictures of what it would look like from Park Slope, but not pictures of what it looks like from St. Felix. That's the community that we should be hearing from and that we are responsible for addressing. The local community is very opposed to that 23-story building, even though it's set back closer to Ashland in the second iteration that Landmark supposedly found better than the first iteration. But the initial Landmark's recommendation said that they should look for a new location. That stands. The community is not in favor of that building, and the Landmarks Committee that we're speaking at now did not have a chance to react to that application. I was going to say that irrespective of. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, although that was really for other business, but thank you. And as I pointed out, the ULURP will be coming up in the first quarter of 2021. And by that, at that time, I think the community will, I'm sure will turn out, either will be live or virtual, and will turn out to inform us of their matter.
Mr. Chair, may I make a comment on that,
Carlton, can I
please?
add something to this?
Okay, one at a time.
I just want to bring it to your attention, if it matters, that when the executive committee submitted the recommendation to the Landmarks Commission, it just simply said that they supported the application, but there was no rationale. There was no explanation given as to why they would support the application, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, just to make a simple declarative statement meant nothing to the community. You're going to make a recommendation, you just flesh it out. And you state for the record, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the reason why. But there was no explanation. And I'll tell you, the community, at least Fort Greene, took it as a slap in the face. Because, there were some issues regarding that. And they didn't think that the board or the executive committee was representative of the community, so they didn't weigh into that application. That's all. We know the ULURP is coming, but it had nothing to do with the ULURP. Everything speaks to the context of that, of the Fort Greene Historic District. And there is no speaking to it from the board or from the executive committee. That's the issue that Adjourn is trying to bring to your attention, and I'm bringing it to your attention. To make a simple blanket statement that the executive committee vote to support. We were surprised that the Landmark Commission, at a minimum, took issue with it. They did, and they kicked it back. We didn't take any issue on anything. I know, and that's insulting. You make an argument, you make your argument as to why the board or the executive committee support the application.
Not for nothing.
Mr. Gordon, may I reply to that as the person who wrote that statement?
I'll take Mr. Paris and then I'll take Bill.
There are 3 members of the executive board of the land use committee. There are members of the land use committee on the executive committee. We were represented, and the fact that you're basically saying that we weren't there, you're insulting us.
It's not that. There was no explanation given as to the reason for the support. That's all.
There may not have been an explanation given, but the community was being represented. You had 3 members of the land use committee on the executive committee.
The support.
It was being represented
because of this reason. That's all.
All right.
I don't care how Mr.
Paris, I just want to say I want to hear from Mr. Paris, and then I want to move on to the rest of our items.
With regard to the brevity of the determination, I work very hard to be respectful of the committee deliberation. And if you go back and look at the minutes for this meeting, there was not a great deal of deliberation. It was a rather brief review, and the determination letter reflects that. When there is more discussion on an LPC application, and the committee members make clear what their thinking is, I regularly share that with LPC so that the commissioners are aware of that. I also would say a couple of other things, which is that this meeting was noticed just like tonight's meeting and any other meeting of the community board. And if there were other members of the land use committee who aren't on the executive committee, if they wanted to join the meeting, they could have joined the meeting. They did not. And also the representation that there were no renderings of what the building would look like from St. Felix Street, that statement is also incorrect.
Rob, I appreciate your work. But sometimes it doesn't, at a minimum, the committee could have reached out to committee members. You know, I mean, just some later on committee members, you know, invite us in. How many of us know to attend exec committee meetings? But just to say, John Drew lives in Fort Greene, or Ernest Augustus lives in Fort Greene, or Esther Blunt, let's get some input. There is no reason. This is in May and June. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And there's nothing that prevents the executive committee picking up the phone or sending a text to say, let's hear, is there anything happening in the community? I know the meeting was, brief and you speak with brevity, but when the community found out about it, they're not happy about it. That doesn't, add any sad to anything. It's almost like, a slap in the face. I'm telling you, sometimes reach out. How hard is it? How hard is it just to have that extra input? People aren't going to wait for a ULIP when it's too late for a ULIP. This is on a landmark application, and all we wanted the landmark to do was to talk about the context and not the building. But at least the commissioners took issue with it. And I thank them for taking issue with it.
Okay, thank you, Ernest. I want to go on to the approval of the minutes for the November meeting. Thank you, Karen, for doing a great job on it. Are there any objections or any things that have to be added to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. I have no chair's report, nothing else on my end. And I don't believe there's any other business. Since there's no other business, I have 7:54 p.m. Wish to
happy holidays, everyone.
And thank you. Happy holidays to all of you. Hope that things work.
Happy holidays.
Survive the snowstorm.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
you.
Better 2021. Bye.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Have a good evening.